What would happen if the last tree on Earth fell tomorrow? Would we still be able to breathe? Would the world look the same? Would life as we know it survive? These questions might sound extreme, but trees are disappearing faster than they can grow back, and most people don't realize what that really means. Right now, there are around 3 trillion trees on Earth. That number sounds huge, but every year we cut down about 15 billion of them. That's like removing a forest the size of England every 12 months. And once a forest is gone, it doesn't just grow back on its own. It takes hundreds of years to recover, and in many places, the damage is permanent. Why does this matter? Because trees don't just make the world beautiful. They make it livable. They take carbon dioxide out of the air and release oxygen. They cool the planet by storing heat in their leaves and soil. They make rain by releasing water vapor into the air. They keep soil in place so it doesn't wash away. They give homes to millions of animals. In fact, trees absorb about 1/3 of all the carbon dioxide that humans produce each year. Without them, our planet would heat up much faster, our air would be harder to breathe, and our food systems would collapse. Humans have never lived without trees. They've always been part of our story. We use them for fire, shelter, and food. Forests gave us medicine, tools, and safety from the elements. They shaped our evolution and our imagination. But we're cutting them down faster than ever before. The main causes are pretty simple. Most deforestation happens for 3 reasons: farming, cities, and logging. Large areas of forest are cleared to grow crops like soy and palm oil, or to raise cattle. Cities expand into surrounding forests as the population grows, and logging companies cut down trees for wood, paper, and fuel. These activities make up almost 80% of global deforestation. The problem is, when we remove too many trees, nature loses its balance. Take the Amazon rainforest as an example. It's known as the lungs of the planet, because it absorbs so much carbon and produces so much oxygen. But scientists say it's close to what they call a tipping point. That's the point where the forest starts dying faster than it can regrow. Once that happens, the Amazon could turn into dry grassland within decades. Here's why that happens. Trees make rain. Their leaves release water into the air, which becomes clouds, which later fall as rain. Fewer trees mean less moisture, which means less rain, which means the ground dries up and even more trees die. It becomes a loop that feeds on itself. And when forests disappear, the effects ripple out. Without trees, soil erodes quickly. The nutrients in the soil wash away, leaving behind dry, empty land where almost nothing can grow. Rivers and lakes dry up because the forest no longer feeds them with rain. The air becomes hotter and drier. Animals lose their homes. Birds, insects, and mammals disappear. Some die out completely. Others move into cities where they struggle to survive. When these species vanish, the food web starts to break down. And we're not separate from that system. Without forests, humans would face massive problems too. The oxygen level in the air would slowly drop. Food would become harder to grow. Weather would become unpredictable. Droughts and floods would happen more often. It's not just about losing trees, it's about losing stability. Forests are what make the Earth's climate steady and livable. They're like the planet's air conditioner and water filter combined. Without them, we'd be living on a hotter, drier, and more dangerous planet. So, what happens if the very last tree on Earth dies? At first, it might seem peaceful. The landscape would be quiet, but that silence would mean something terrifying. No birds, no animals, no shade, no oxygen being made. The air would grow thin and full of dust. Soil would turn into sand. Rivers would vanish. Oceans would warm. Entire regions would become uninhabitable. Human life would shrink to smaller and smaller areas, fighting for the last bits of water and food. But even before that final moment, we'd already be feeling the loss. Crops would fail more often. Heat waves would become constant. Fresh air would become harder to find. That's what the fall of the last tree would mean. Not a single moment of destruction, but a slow collapse that touches everything. And yet trees are more than biology. They're memory. For thousands of years, people have seen trees as symbols of life. In myths and religions, trees often represent growth, wisdom, and connection. The tree of life in ancient cultures, the Bodhi tree under which the Buddha found enlightenment, the sacred groves in old European and African traditions, all show how deeply trees are woven into human identity. Even our language remembers them. We say we're rooted in a place. We branch out when we grow. We talk about family trees. Trees have shaped not just our world, but our minds. Once, forests covered about 60% of Earth's land. Today, it's closer to 30%. We've lost half of them. And yet, we're not just watching the loss. Around the world, people are trying to bring forests back. In some places, people plant what they call memory forests. They plant trees to remember what used to stand there, or to honor the people and species that have disappeared. Scientists have built something even more ambitious. In the Arctic, there's a vault carved into a mountain called the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. It stores millions of seeds from around the world, kept frozen and safe in case natural disasters or wars destroy the plants they came from. It's like the world's backup plan for life. Researchers say that if we restored even part of the forest we've lost, we could remove up to a quarter of the carbon we emit each year. That means cleaner air, cooler temperatures, and more stable weather. And once the process starts, nature does most of the work. Trees bring rain, rain helps more trees grow, and life spreads again. But that can only happen if we stop the destruction first. Every tree we protect today makes a difference. Every hectare of forest we save protects thousands of species, stabilizes the climate, and keeps the air clean. This isn't just about plants, it's about people. Forests protect our water, food, and future. They're not a luxury, they're survival. And restoring them isn't just science, it's a choice about what kind of world we want to live in. The last tree on Earth isn't a prophecy, it's a warning, but it's also a reminder that we still have power over what happens next. If humanity is capable of cutting down 3 trillion trees, then it's also capable of growing them back. Every generation before us changed the planet, often without meaning to. Ours is the first that understands exactly how those changes work. That gives us responsibility, but it also gives us control. Restoring the world's forests won't fix everything, but it's one of the clearest, simplest things we can do to make life on Earth stable again. It doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to start. A single tree doesn't change the planet, but millions of small decisions do. Choosing what we buy, what we protect, and what we rebuild adds up. When people care, systems shift. When systems shift, the planet begins to heal. The last tree doesn't have to be a symbol of loss. It can be a marker of choice, a point where we finally understood that every living thing is connected and that our survival is tied to theirs. We came from the forests. They made the air we breathe, the soil beneath our feet, and the stories we tell. If they vanish, we lose more than nature. We lose memory. But if we bring them back, we might remember who we are meant to be, caretakers, not owners. In the end, the question isn't what happens when the last tree falls. The question is whether we decide to let it happen. Do you think we'll ever reach a point where there's only one last tree standing? Comment your thoughts below and don't forget to like and subscribe while you're there.